Alright guys, welcome back. In this video we are going to be learning about direct and reverse connections. First we are going to discuss about direct connections and its real life use case. Then we will get into some of the problems with direct connection and how reverse connection actually solves them. So without wasting any time, let's get into what is direct connection and what are some of the use cases of direct connection. So for example, let's say you are sitting somewhere in China and you have a friend in, let's say, Texas. Now your friend has run into some kind of a problem with his computer and he wants you to fix it because you are a tech wizard. So what you can do is you can remotely connect to his computer using command shell or terminal and fix his computer for him. This type of connection is achieved by something known as a direct connection. In a direct connection, we first create a socket on our computer, which basically means opening up a line of communication between computers. Then we bind our port and host to the socket and send a request to our friend on his IP address. If he accepts our request, then we'll be able to remotely access his computer using our command prompt or terminal and fix his problems. So for direct connection, we require IP address of our computer as well as our friend's computer. Now let's discuss some of the problems associated with a direct connection. The first major problem with a direct connection is that it's difficult to get the IP address of your friend's computer if he is not tech savvy. Or let's say you're a hacker who wants to access someone's computer without his knowledge. In this scenario, getting the IP address of someone's computer is next to impossible. But for the second problem, let's assume you have gotten access to the IP address of another computer or your friend's computer. That still makes it difficult to maintain the connection because the IP address is dynamic. And as we learned in the IP address video, that dynamic IP address means that it's always changing. So you won't be able to maintain the connection for a long time. Then for the third problem, we are going to assume that we are somehow able to get regular updates to his dynamic IP address. But still, computers have a bunch of inbuilt firewalls which prevent these type of connections to happen, thus making it impossible for us to get into his computer. Now that we understand the concept of direct connection, let's understand the process of reverse connection and how it mitigates the problems faced in a direct connection. To understand reverse connection, I think it's best to take the example of a hacker trying to access his victim's computer without his knowledge. In reverse connection, instead of trying to initiate or start a connection from his computer, the connection is initiated from the victim's computer. So what hackers do is that they create a Python file called reverse shell, and in that file the IP address and the port of hacker's computer is stored. Then they send this file to the victim via an email or via USB, and when the victim opens up this file, it creates a reverse connection to the hacker's computer. Now because the victim is starting the connection, the hacker doesn't really have to worry about the IP address or the victim's computer. So even if the IP address is dynamic, it doesn't really matter because every time the IP address changes, the file installed on the victim's computer calibrates accordingly. But there is still one more problem to solve. The hacker's computer still has a dynamic IP address, so the address stored in the file will be useless after some time. To mitigate this problem, hackers create a server and they store the IP address of the server in the reverse shell file. Because if you remember in our IP address video, we talked how servers have static IP addresses. In the future videos, we are going to be revisiting this concept of reverse connection a lot. So even if you didn't understand any part of it, you don't have to worry because we'll be going through this when we are writing the code to create a reverse connection. In the next video, we will be creating a live server on DigitalOcean and we will finally do something hands-on. So I'll see you in the next video.